Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're stepping into the battlefield where most men lose before the first shot is even fired. It isn't the gym. It isn't the office. It isn't a boxing ring or a battlefield. The place where men surrender is in their own head. And the weapon that takes them down isn't a bullet or a punch. It's softer, quieter, deadlier. It's an excuse. Think about your mornings. The alarm goes off, and before your feet even touch the floor, the negotiation begins. I'll go to the gym tomorrow. I'm too tired today. I'll start on Monday when things are calmer. That tiny inner voice feels harmless, but it isn't harmless. It's poison. Every excuse you let live today steals progress from tomorrow. Excuses don't shout. They whisper. They don't knock you out cold. They bleed you out slowly. And the man who tolerates excuses never realizes he's already lost. Excuses are polite killers. They don't come in with rage. They come disguised as reason. You've worked hard. You deserve rest. You can skip this one. It won't matter. Life's too short. Enjoy it. And in that moment, you surrender your future to weakness. No man is remembered for his excuses. No biography is written about the man who explained why he failed. The world does not respect reasons. The world respects results. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, there was a man named David Goggins. At one point in his life, he was nearly 300 pounds, spraying cockroaches for a living, broke and depressed. His life was built entirely on excuses. I was abused as a child. I wasn't born athletic. I have bad genetics. I don't have opportunities. Every excuse was valid. But one night, he looked in the mirror and realized something brutal. Those excuses had created the exact life he hated. He decided then, no more excuses. He lost over 100 pounds in 3 months, passed Navy SEAL training, and became one of the toughest endurance athletes alive. What changed? Not his past. Not his circumstances. His decision to kill excuses before they killed him. Why are excuses so seductive? Because they relieve guilt. They let you say, I didn't fail, I had a reason. They give you the illusion of safety. But here's the reality. Your boss doesn't care. Your bank account doesn't care. The mirror doesn't care. Excuses don't build muscle. They don't pay bills. They don't earn respect. Excuses only keep you weak, small, and replaceable. Now, some of you are already arguing in your head, but my excuse is real. I don't have time. I don't have money. I wasn't born with the same advantages, and maybe that feels true. But here's the counterpunch. Right now, somewhere in the world, a man with less time, less money, and fewer advantages is doing the very thing you claim you can't. A single mother working 2 jobs still wakes up early to train. A refugee with nothing starts a business from scratch. A blind man masters the piano. What separates them from you isn't luck, it isn't privilege. It's that they killed excuses while you nurtured yours. So how do you kill excuses? First, expose them. Write them down. Don't let them hide. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. I don't know how. When you see them on paper, they look weaker. Second, interrogate them. Ask yourself, is this the truth or just comfort in disguise? Most of the time, it's the latter. Third, replace them. Don't say, I don't have time. Say, I will make time. Don't say, I don't know how. Say, I will learn. Don't say, I'm too tired. Say, I will do it, tired. Words are contracts with yourself. Break the contract, and you break your discipline. Jocko Willink calls this extreme ownership. If you're late, it's not traffic. It's your lack of planning. If you missed the workout, it's not because you were busy. It's because you chose not to prioritize it. Excuses are ways of escaping responsibility. Kill them, and you take ownership back. Excuses are weeds. Leave one alive, and it multiplies. Kill one, and you train yourself to keep killing. That habit becomes discipline, and discipline is nothing more than the daily execution of no excuses. Now let's land the hammer. Excuses are the language of weakness. Every time you say, I don't have time, I'm too tired, or I'll start tomorrow, you're admitting that comfort owns you. A true man doesn't negotiate with laziness. He kills it before it speaks. The brutal truth is this: no one cares about your reasons. The world only respects results. Excuses don't build muscle. Excuses don't pay bills. Excuses don't earn respect. They only keep you small, invisible, and replaceable. Discipline begins when you stop justifying weakness. Wake up late? Own it. Miss a workout? Admit it. Don't say, I couldn't. Say, I didn't. That honesty stings, but it forces you to face reality. And reality is the only place discipline grows. Every man has the same 24 hours. The difference between the man who rises and the man who fails is simple. One kills excuses. So here's your challenge. Tonight, write down 3 excuses you use most. Pick one. Kill it this week. Replace it with undeniable action. And tomorrow morning, when the alarm screams, remember, excuses are waiting to enslave you. Will you feed them, or will you kill them before they kill you? Pain over comfort. Every man faces the same question every single day. Will you choose pain, or will you choose comfort? This is not a small decision. It is the most important decision of your life, because everything else flows from it. The body you have, the bank account you hold, the respect you earn, the strength you command. All of it comes down to how you answer this choice: comfort or pain. And here's the brutal truth. Comfort is the cage. Pain is the key. Comfort is seductive. It whispers to you every morning, every night, and every time you feel weak. Stay in bed. Hit snooze, you've earned it. Skip the workout just this once. Order the takeout. Watch another episode. Scroll another hour. Comfort always feels good in the moment. It's soft. It's warm. It's easy. But comfort doesn't tell you the price you will pay later. Comfort never mentions the slow decay. Comfort is a liar. Pain, on the other hand, tells the truth. Pain never flatters you. Pain doesn't sugarcoat reality. When you push your body and it aches, that is truth. When you grind on a project and it drains you, that is truth. When you risk rejection and feel the sting, that is truth. Pain strips away the illusion of who you wish you were and forces you to confront who you actually are. And then, if you stay in it, pain builds you into something stronger. Look at history. Spartans in ancient Greece raised their sons in brutal conditions. No soft beds, no rich food, no easy life. They trained those boys with hunger, exhaustion, and pain because they knew this. When war comes, comfort will betray you. Pain will prepare you. And although today's world may not hand you a spear, it will still test you. It will throw setbacks, failures, betrayals, and heartbreak your way. If you have been living in comfort, you will shatter under that weight. If you have been living in pain, you will endure. You might be thinking, but isn't comfort the goal? Don't we work hard so we can finally relax? Wrong. Comfort is not the prize, it's the trap. Look at professional athletes. When they stop training, when they stop chasing pain, Their bodies collapse in months. Look at entrepreneurs. When they sell their company, cash out, and spend their days chasing luxury, they rot from the inside out. Comfort feels like arrival, but it is the start of decline. The moment you live only for ease, you begin to die. Here's the first reality. Pain is unavoidable. You either suffer the pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later. Skip the workout today, and your body pays the price tomorrow. Skip the studying now, and your career pays the price later. Comfort hides regret inside it like a Trojan horse. Here's the second reality. Comfort lies. Comfort whispers, "You've done enough. Take a break. You're fine the way you are." But look around. The men who listen to comfort are overweight, uninspired, broke, and invisible. Comfort doesn't care about you. Comfort wants you soft, compliant, and average. Here's the third reality. Pain is progress. Every ounce of discomfort is a signal that you're stretching beyond your limits. The cold shower, the burning lungs, the exhaustion after a brutal session. These are not punishments. They are signs of growth. Pain is the currency of improvement. Now let's address the most common excuses. I need balance. I deserve to rest. Life is short. I should enjoy it. Balance? What balance? If you've been living in mediocrity, you don't need balance. You need an overdose of discomfort to rip yourself out of weakness. Rest? Rest is earned, not given. And if you think life is short, then wasting it in comfort is the worst crime of all. The truth is simple. You don't need more balance, you need more pain. So how do you train yourself to embrace pain? First, start small. Do one uncomfortable thing every single day. Take the stairs when you'd rather take the elevator. Turn off the warm water and finish your shower cold. Skip the junk food and cook something clean. Each act of discomfort is a rep for your discipline. Second, escalate. Once you can handle the small pain, increase the load. Wake up earlier. Push through one more set when your muscles beg for mercy. Work an extra hour on the project when your mind screams to stop. Keep stacking pain until it becomes your normal. Third, reframe. Don't call it suffering. Call it progress. Every drop of sweat, every ache, every sting of rejection is a receipt proving you paid for growth. Comfort charges you interest in regret. Pain pays you back in strength. Let me give you a modern story. A man named David Goggins calls pain his best teacher. He ran on broken legs, pushed through 100-mile races, and tortured himself with training not because he loved suffering, but because he understood one thing. Pain reveals the truth. Pain is where weakness dies. Comfort is where weakness thrives. And here's the punchline you need to remember. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. Every time you choose the couch over the grind, the shortcut over the struggle, or the easy path over the hard one, you're selling your future for scraps of pleasure. Pain is the price of growth. Comfort is the guarantee of decay. The man who seeks comfort dies soft. The man who seeks pain becomes unbreakable. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, seek pain deliberately. Not recklessly, but deliberately. When you want to sleep in, get up. When you want to quit the workout, add another set. When you want to avoid the hard conversation, walk straight into it. Write it down. Track it. Own it. And when the week is over, look in the mirror and ask yourself, did I live soft or did I live sharp? Did I hide in comfort or did I stand in pain? Because the man you will be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is being built in the choices you make tonight. comfort or pain, cage or key, weakness or strength. Choose wisely. Stucker, routine is religion. Discipline isn't built in random bursts of effort. It's not built when you feel like it. It's not built when the stars align, when motivation shows up, or when life is convenient. Discipline is built the same way a temple is built, brick by brick, day after day, until the structure stands unshakable. And those bricks, they are your routines. Routine is what separates men who dream from men who execute. Anyone can say, I want to be stronger, I want to be richer, I want to be better. But wanting means nothing without structure. Routine is the engine that takes vague dreams and turns them into unstoppable momentum. Without it, you're a man lost at sea, tossed around by whatever wave of emotion or distraction hits you that day. With it, you're a machine, moving forward whether the sun shines or the storm rages. Look at the military. Soldiers don't wake up and decide whether to train today. They wake up at the same time, execute the same drills, follow the same rhythm, day after day, year after year. That's why when chaos erupts on the battlefield, they don't freeze, they don't panic, they execute automatically. The routine built in training becomes the instinct that saves lives in war. Now look at your own life. If you're waking up at different times every day, eating whatever happens to be in front of you, working only when you feel inspired, and training only when it's convenient, you're not living with discipline. You're gambling with it. You're hoping motivation will show up, but motivation is a traitor. Sometimes it's there, often it's not. If you rely on it, you will fail. Routine doesn't betray you. Routine doesn't depend on mood. Routine delivers every time. Some will argue, but isn't routine boring? Doesn't it kill freedom? No. Chaos kills freedom. Laziness kills freedom. Weakness kills freedom. Routine is the system that gives you freedom because it eliminates indecision. Think about it. If you have to decide every morning, should I work out today? Should I eat clean? Should I get up early? You're wasting energy. A man who lives by routine doesn't waste energy deciding. He just does it. That's real freedom, freedom from hesitation. Here's the first truth. Routine kills procrastination. You don't argue with yourself about when to start, because the time is already set. You don't ask yourself if you should do it, because it's already on the schedule. Routine makes excuses irrelevant. Here's the second truth. Routine compounds. Each small action, repeated daily, builds into massive transformation. 10 push-ups today mean nothing. 10 push-ups every morning for a year mean a stronger body, sharper mind, and harder spirit. Small routines stacked over time create results so massive they look like magic to outsiders. But it's not magic. It's consistency. Here's the third truth. Routine builds identity. When you follow a routine long enough, you no longer ask, what should I do? You ask, who am I? And the answer drives the action. If your routine is training every day, you stop being a man who tries to work out and become a man who is an athlete. If your routine is writing every day, you stop being a man who wants to write and become a writer. Discipline grows when routine rewrites your identity. Let's crush the counter-arguments. But I like variety. I don't want to live like a robot. I want flexibility. Fine, stay flexible. But flexibility is just another word for inconsistency. And inconsistency is the enemy of greatness. Nobody built an empire by showing up whenever they felt like it. Nobody carved a great body by training when the mood struck. If you want variety, get it from your results. If you want excitement, get it from progress. Routine doesn't kill variety. It creates the foundation that makes variety possible. So how do you build a routine that actually sticks? First, anchor your day with a non-negotiable morning ritual. Wake up at the same time. Start with the same action. For some, it's exercise. For others, it's journaling. For others, it's study. The activity matters less than the consistency. Second, eliminate decision fatigue. If you know you train at 6 a.m. every day, there's no room to argue with yourself. Third, track your streaks. Mark it on a calendar, in an app, or with a notebook. Humans hate breaking chains. Use that to your advantage. Consider Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL commander. Every morning, he posts a picture of his watch reading 4:30 a.m., not for attention, but as a reminder. Routine doesn't care how you feel. The alarm goes off, the day begins, and the work gets done. No debates, no excuses, just execution. That's routine as religion. Now let's land the hammer. Routine is not optional. Routine is religion. Every time you repeat the ritual, you're building the temple of discipline brick by brick. Skip the routine, and the temple collapses. Follow it, and the structure grows stronger every day until it cannot be broken. The man who treats routine as sacred becomes unstoppable. The man who treats it as optional remains ordinary. So here's your challenge. Starting tomorrow, choose one routine and commit to it for 30 days without negotiation. Maybe it's waking up at the same time. Maybe it's training daily. Maybe it's reading for 20 minutes. Write it down. Follow it. Do not break it. Let routine become your daily prayer to discipline. And at the end of those 30 days, when you stand in front of the mirror, you won't just see a man with new habits. You'll see a man with a new identity. Because routine isn't just something you do. It's who you are. Do it tired. Do it anyway. Fatigue is the excuse that destroys more potential than failure ever could. Most men don't quit because they're broken. They quit because they're tired. They convince themselves exhaustion is a good enough reason to stop, to delay, to rest. But here's the harsh truth. You don't get stronger by doing things when you feel fresh. You get stronger by doing them when you're drained, when your mind is begging you to quit, and when your body feels like it has nothing left. Anyone can train on a full night's sleep. Anyone can work hard when they're energized and motivated. That doesn't prove anything. The real test of discipline isn't how hard you push when you're rested. It's how hard you push when you're exhausted, when your muscles ache, when your eyes burn, when your head feels heavy. That's where your limits are tested. That's where discipline separates the strong from the weak. Think about soldiers in combat. They don't get to say, "I'm too tired to fight today." They don't get to hit snooze when bullets are flying. They fight while exhausted. They march on blistered feet. They execute missions on zero sleep. Why? Because reality doesn't care about their fatigue. The mission comes first. The body obeys the will. Now think about your own life. How many times have you skipped the workout because you were tired? How many times have you procrastinated on work because you didn't have the energy? How many opportunities have you lost because fatigue became your permission slip to quit? Tiredness is not a reason. It's an illusion. You are not as tired as you think you are. You have reserves you've never tapped. The only way to find them is to push when you're drained. Here's the first truth. Tiredness is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. The fatigue will fade, but the damage of giving into it stays with you. Every time you stop because you're tired, you train yourself to surrender early. Here's the second truth. Your mind quits before your body does. Studies show your body has far more in reserve than your brain lets you believe. When you feel like you're at the edge, you're often only at 40 to 50% of your true capacity. Fatigue is your brain trying to protect you from discomfort. Discipline is ignoring that false signal and proving to yourself you can keep going. Here's the third truth. The world doesn't care if you're tired. Your competitors aren't going to pause their grind so you can rest. Your responsibilities won't wait. Life doesn't stop just because you're fatigued. If you only act when you feel good, you'll never achieve anything beyond average. Some will argue, but rest is important. Don't I need recovery? Yes, recovery matters. But most men don't fail from overtraining. They fail from under-disciplining. Rest is earned, not abused. There's a difference between strategic recovery and quitting because you're tired. The first builds strength. The second builds weakness. So how do you train yourself to work tired? First, stop labeling fatigue as a wall. Start calling it a signal that you're entering the real work. Second, practice micro pushes. When you feel like quitting, do 5 more reps. Write for 10 more minutes. Push through 1 more round. That extra effort while tired is where transformation lives. Third, remind yourself, fatigue is a liar. You're stronger than it tells you. Consider David Goggins running ultramarathons. He talks about the 40% rule, that when you feel done, you're only 40% finished. Every time he wanted to stop, he reminded himself, this is where the real growth begins. That's the mindset. Exhaustion is not an end. It's the beginning of strength. Now here's the punchline. Fatigue is not your limit. It's your invitation. Every time you feel tired and still execute, you are rewriting who you are. The man who only works when he's fresh will always be average. The man who works while drained, broken, and exhausted will build a strength that no one can take from him. Do it tired. Do it anyway. That's the code of discipline. So here's your challenge. This week, when you feel drained, refuse to quit. If you're tired at the gym, push for 1 more set. If you're tired at work, finish the task before you rest. If you're tired of chasing your goals, chase them harder. Don't give fatigue the power to define you. And when you look back at the end of the week, you'll realize something profound. You were never as tired as you thought. You were stronger all along. Control your mind, control your life. Your body is strong, but it is also obedient. It follows orders. If your mind says stop, your body collapses. If your mind says keep going, your body will discover reserves it never knew it had. Every battle in your life, fitness, business, relationships, begins and ends in your head. Control your mind, and you control everything. Surrender your mind, and you surrender your life. Most men lose before the fight even starts because they have no command over their thoughts. Their brains are battlefields ruled by negativity, distraction, and weakness. This is too hard. I'll never make it. I don't feel like it. They let these thoughts dictate their actions, and their actions dictate their destiny. They don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they never seized control of their inner dialogue. Think about athletes at the highest level. A sprinter at the Olympics doesn't line up thinking, "I hope I don't embarrass myself." He lines up thinking, "I will dominate this race." A fighter walking into the octagon doesn't think, "Maybe I'll survive." He thinks, "I will break the man in front of me." That mindset doesn't guarantee victory, but the lack of it guarantees defeat. Here's the first truth. Your thoughts are orders. Every time you tell yourself you can't, your body obeys. Every time you tell yourself you're weak, your actions follow. But the same is true in the opposite direction. Tell yourself you will, and your body executes. Tell yourself you're capable, and your actions reflect it. Here's the second truth. Your mind is programmable. Right now, you may think you're stuck with negative self-talk, but that's just conditioning. You've trained your brain to surrender. You can retrain it to fight. Through repetition, affirmations, visualization, and daily proof of action, you can rewire the commands you give yourself. Here's the third truth. You become what you focus on. If you feed your mind with distraction, fear, and weakness, your life will mirror that. If you feed your mind with clarity, discipline, and power, your life will elevate. Your external world is a reflection of your internal control. Some will argue, "But I can't control my thoughts. They just come to me." Wrong. You may not control the first thought that flashes through your head, but you control the second. You control whether you feed it or starve it. A weak man entertains every thought like a guest. A strong man evicts weakness the second it knocks. So how do you take control of your mind? First, build awareness. Notice your inner dialogue. Write down the negative scripts that repeat in your head. Second, replace them. When your mind says, "I can't," force yourself to say, "I will." When it says, "I'm tired," replace it with, "I'm building strength." Third, test it. Put yourself in difficult situations intentionally and use your mind as the weapon to carry you through. Each victory proves the programming is working. Think about Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius. He ruled one of the greatest empires in history while reminding himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Thousands of years later, the principle hasn't changed. Control your mind, and external chaos loses its grip on you. Now let's land the hammer. Your mind is the command center of your life. Lose control of it, and you lose control of everything. Control it, and you control your destiny. Weak men let their thoughts dictate their actions. Strong men dictate their thoughts, and their actions follow. Discipline is born in the mind first, the body second. Control your mind, control your life. So here's your challenge. For the next week, track every negative thought you have. Write it down, then replace it instantly with a command that builds strength. Do this daily, and watch as your actions begin to shift. At the end of that week, you won't just feel stronger, you'll be stronger. Because once you realize your mind is the throne, you'll never again give weakness the crown. Sacrifice weak pleasures. Every man has a choice to make. Feed on weak pleasures now, or build lasting power for later. Most men choose the first path. They reach for the dopamine hit, The quick relief, the easy indulgence, scrolling endlessly, drinking excessively, binge-watching nonsense, chasing empty sex, living for the next distraction. And then they wonder why they feel hollow, why they have no edge, why their lives are slipping away without meaning. Weak pleasures are thieves. They steal your time, your focus, and your strength. Discipline demands sacrifice. You cannot hold on to both weakness and strength at the same time. You cannot be a man of power while you bow to cheap pleasures. The two cannot coexist. Weak pleasures keep you chained to mediocrity. Sacrificing them sets you free. Think about it. Every time you choose the easy escape, you're training your brain to expect reward without effort. That's what pornography does. That's what junk food does. That's what endless scrolling does. These pleasures give you the illusion of satisfaction without the reality of achievement. And the more you indulge, the weaker you become, because your brain stops craving the hard, valuable rewards of discipline and starts craving only the quick, empty ones. Here's the first truth. Weak pleasures shrink ambition. A man who spends his nights escaping into screens, drinks, or shallow entertainment is not the same man who wakes up hungry for battle the next morning. The fire dies one indulgence at a time. Here's the second truth. Weak pleasures numb pain, but they also numb growth. That's why people drown themselves in them. They don't want to face reality, so they run from it into pleasure. But the same pain they avoid is the pain that would have made them stronger. Here's the third truth. Sacrifice is not loss. It's exchange. When you give up cheap pleasures, you gain focus, clarity, respect, and strength. Every time you say no to weakness, you're saying yes to greatness. Some will argue, but life is short. Shouldn't I enjoy it? That's the oldest lie comfort ever told. Real enjoyment doesn't come from wasting yourself on emptiness. Real enjoyment comes from building something worth having, becoming someone worth respecting, and living with pride instead of shame. Pleasure without purpose is poison. So how do you sacrifice weak pleasures? First, identify them. Write down every habit that gives you instant gratification without lasting value. Second, replace them. When you cut out the poison, fill the gap with something that builds strength. Instead of scrolling, read. Instead of binging, train. Instead of numbing yourself, face the work. Third, track progress. Notice how your mind sharpens, your energy rises, and your respect for yourself grows. Consider monks, samurai, and warriors of every age. They understood something men today have forgotten. Sacrifice is power. To live with discipline, they gave up indulgence. To focus on their mission, they rejected distraction. Their strength was not an accident. It was purchased with sacrifice. Now let's land the hammer. Weak pleasures are chains disguised as gifts. Every time you choose them, you trade strength for slavery. Discipline requires sacrifice, giving up what is cheap so you can build what is priceless. The man who clings to weak pleasures will always stay weak. The man who sacrifices them will rise above everyone else. So here's your challenge. Starting tonight, cut out one weak pleasure for 7 days. No porn, no binge scrolling, no junk food. Replace it with one discipline-building action. Train, study, create, or build. And when the week is over, ask yourself, did I miss the poison, or did I discover my strength? Because your life will not be measured by the pleasures you consumed. It will be measured by the discipline you mastered. Train until it hurts. Most men stop at the first sign of discomfort. The moment the muscles burn, the lungs tighten, the sweat stings their eyes, they slow down. They say, "That's enough for today. I pushed hard enough." But discipline doesn't live in the reps that come easy. Discipline is born in the pain zone, the place where your body begs for mercy and your mind whispers, "Quit." If you want to grow, if you want to forge strength that others can't even imagine, you have to train until it hurts. Pain in training is not punishment. It's proof. It proves you're pushing past your current limits. It proves you're breaking down weakness so strength can be rebuilt in its place. Every rep that burns, every sprint that makes your chest feel like it's on fire, every drill that leaves your body trembling is a down payment on a stronger future. The hurt is not the end. It is the beginning. Look at fighters, lifters, runners, the great ones. None of them built greatness by stopping when it felt comfortable. Muhammad Ali once said, "I don't count my sit-ups. I only start counting when it starts hurting, because that's when it really counts." That's the mindset. The work before the pain is warm-up. The work inside the pain is transformation. Here's the first truth. Growth begins at the edge of pain. Your body adapts only when it is stressed. Lift a weight that's too light, and you stay the same. Run a distance that's too easy, and nothing changes. Only when you push beyond your comfort zone, when it actually hurts, does your body adapt and grow stronger. Here's the second truth. The pain zone is where mental toughness is forged. Physical training is never just physical. Every set, every mile, every drill is a test of your mind. When you keep going despite pain, you're building more than muscle. You're building a mind that refuses to quit. Here's the third truth. Training until it hurts teaches you to trust yourself. Most men don't know how much they're capable of because they've never gone far enough to find out. But when you push into the pain zone and finish anyway, you learn something life-changing. You are stronger than you ever believed. That knowledge changes everything. Some will argue, "But isn't pain dangerous? Won't I hurt myself?" There's a difference between pain and injury. Injury stops you. Pain is the signal you've reached the threshold where growth begins. Weak men confuse the two because they've never been there. Strong men learn the difference and live in that space. So how do you train until it hurts without breaking yourself? First, push past the moment of discomfort instead of stopping. Do 2 more reps when you feel done. Run 1 more minute when your lungs scream. Second, embrace progressive overload. Increase the weight, the distance, the speed, week by week. Third, track your pain zone. Record when it hurts, and watch yourself push further each time. Think about David Goggins running ultramarathons. He ran on fractured bones, blistered feet, and broken legs. Not recklessly, but to prove to himself that pain was not the enemy. Pain was the doorway to another level. That's the lesson. You're not chasing comfort in training. You're chasing pain because pain is the signal of growth. Now let's land the hammer. Comfort is maintenance. Pain is progress. Every time you train until it hurts, you're carving away weakness and replacing it with strength. The man who stops at the first sign of pain will always remain ordinary. The man who lives in the pain zone will build a body, a mind, and a spirit that nothing can break. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, in every workout, push past your comfort point. Don't stop when it gets hard. Keep going until it hurts. Record how far you pushed and push further the next time. Let pain be the signal that you finally arrived at the place where growth begins. Because training without pain builds nothing. Training until it hurts builds everything. No 0 days momentum is the lifeblood of discipline. Once it's moving, it's almost unstoppable. But the moment you let it stall, the moment you allow yourself a 0 day, the rot begins. A 0 day is simple. It's the day you do nothing for your goals. No training, no learning, no progress, nothing. You tell yourself it's harmless, just 1 day off. But 1 day becomes 2, 2 becomes a week, and suddenly your discipline is gone. That's why the rule must be absolute. No 0 days. It doesn't matter how small the action is. What matters is that the chain never breaks. Maybe you can't run 5 miles today. Fine. Run 1. Maybe you can't lift for an hour. Fine. Do push-ups for 5 minutes. Maybe you're exhausted, sick, overwhelmed. Fine. Read 1 page. Write 1 sentence. Do 1 thing that keeps the streak alive. Discipline is not about massive action every day. It's about never letting the fire go out. Think about compound interest in finance. $1 invested daily grows into something massive over time. But if you stop investing altogether, you lose momentum and compound nothing. Discipline works the same way. Every day you invest even a little, you grow. Every day you skip, you shrink. Here's the first truth. Consistency beats intensity. Most people go hard for a week, then burn out, then quit. The strong man shows up every day, even if the session is small. The body, the mind, and the spirit grow not through occasional explosions, but through daily deposits. Here's the second truth. 0 days train weakness. Every time you allow yourself to skip entirely, you reinforce the idea that quitting is an option. And once quitting is an option, it becomes a habit. Here's the third truth. Action, no matter how small, changes identity. When you do something every single day, you stop being a man who tries. You become a man who is. If you train daily, even lightly, you're not a man who wants to get fit. You're an athlete. If you create daily, you're not a man who wants to write. You're a writer. Identity is forged in repetition, not intensity. Some will argue, but isn't rest important? Don't I need days off? Rest is not the same as 0. Rest is active recovery, stretching, mobility, light movement, reading, studying. 0 is nothing. 0 is surrender. Rest strengthens you. 0 rots you. So how do you live with no 0 days? First, set a bare minimum standard. Maybe it's 10 push-ups. Maybe it's 1 page of reading. Something so small you can never justify skipping it. Second, stack the small wins. Often when you start with the minimum, momentum takes over and you do more. Third, track your streak. Put it on a calendar. Mark every day you acted and don't break the chain. Look at Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian. He became legendary by writing jokes every single day. He didn't aim for genius daily. He aimed for consistency. He called it, "Don't break the chain." That's the power of no 0 days. Now let's land the hammer. Discipline dies in zeros. Progress dies in zeros. Identity dies in zeros. A man who skips today skips tomorrow, and the chain of weakness grows. But a man who refuses 0 days, even if it's one push-up, one sentence, one page, becomes unstoppable. No 0 days, not now, not ever. So here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, refuse to let the chain break. Do something, anything, every single day for your goals. Write it down. Track it. Even if it's tiny, it counts. Because the difference between a weak man and a strong man is simple. The weak man accepts 0 days. The strong man refuses them. Discipline over motivation. Motivation is a liar. It shows up when it wants. It disappears when you need it most, and it cannot be trusted. Every weak man in the world builds his life on motivation, waiting for the right mood, the right feeling, the right inspiration to act. That's why they never get anywhere. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care if you feel like it. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, uninspired, or unmotivated. Discipline gets it done anyway. Motivation is emotion. Discipline is identity. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the fire. Sparks fade. Fire endures. If you want to build anything lasting, strength, wealth, respect, you must choose discipline over motivation. Here's the first truth. Motivation is unreliable. One day you're fired up, the next day you feel flat. If you only act when you're motivated, your results will be random, inconsistent, and weak. But discipline doesn't fluctuate. Discipline is steady. Discipline is showing up no matter what. Here's the second truth. Discipline builds trust with yourself. Motivation doesn't last long enough to create confidence. But when you act with discipline, when you show up day after day, you start to believe in yourself. You know you'll follow through, not because you feel like it, but because it's who you are. Here's the third truth. Motivation is external. Discipline is internal. Motivation can be sparked by videos, speeches, stories, but those external flames always fade. Discipline is internal fuel. It burns even in silence, even in darkness, even when no one is watching. Some will argue, but motivation is what gets me started. Sure, maybe, but how many times have you felt motivated, started strong, and then quit when it faded? That's why most New Year's resolutions are dead by February. The men who last are not the men who were motivated in January. They are the men who were disciplined in March, in June, in November, when no one else cared. So how do you build discipline when motivation is gone? First, strip away choice. Don't ask yourself, do I feel like training today? The answer doesn't matter. The schedule decides, not the mood. Second, lower the barrier. If you don't feel like doing the full workout, do something. 10 minutes, 10 push-ups, anything. Action creates momentum. Third, celebrate consistency, not intensity. Don't chase the high of motivation. Chase the pride of never missing. Think about Kobe Bryant. He didn't become legendary because he was motivated every morning. He became legendary because at 4 a.m., while other players slept, he was in the gym shooting. Not once, not twice, every single day. That wasn't motivation, it was discipline. Now let's land the hammer. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a choice. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Weak men live by motivation and wonder why they fail. Strong men live by discipline and succeed whether they feel like it or not. Discipline over motivation. Always. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, act without waiting for motivation. When the voice in your head says, I don't feel like it, answer back with, I don't need to feel like it. Do the work anyway. Because the truth is simple. You'll never always be motivated, but you can always be disciplined. Delayed gratification. Wins the weak man lives for now. He chases every craving, every impulse, every cheap pleasure the second it appears. He eats the junk food because it tastes good now. He skips the workout because rest feels good now. He spends the money because buying feels good now. But the man who lives only for now dies with nothing. Strength, wealth, respect, they don't belong to the man who indulges instantly. They belong to the man who delays gratification, who sacrifices the small pleasure of today for the massive reward of tomorrow. This principle is as old as time. Every great achievement is delayed gratification. Building a body takes years of sweat. Building wealth takes years of discipline. Building respect takes years of integrity. None of it comes instantly. The man who cannot wait, the man who must have his fix immediately, will never taste greatness. Here's the first truth. Instant gratification is slavery. It chains you to weakness. Every time you give in, you reinforce the habit of surrender. You tell your brain, I obey impulses, not goals. That's how men become trapped in addictions. Porn, junk food, gambling, scrolling, because they've trained themselves to bow to impulse. Here's the second truth. Delayed gratification builds freedom. When you say no now, you buy freedom later. Skip the junk food, build the body, save the money, build the wealth, put in the work, build the legacy. Every no today is a louder yes tomorrow. Here's the third truth. Mastery requires patience. The greatest warriors, the most powerful kings, the richest men in history all understood this. Victory isn't seized in a moment. It's built brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, year after year. Some will argue, but life is short. Shouldn't I enjoy it? That's the trick of weakness. Nobody is telling you not to enjoy life. But ask yourself, do you want cheap joy now or lasting joy later? Do you want the sugar high of weakness or the deep satisfaction of power? The man who eats everything now dies empty. The man who waits eats like a king. So how do you master delayed gratification? First, train small. Start with small sacrifices. Skip the dessert, save the money, do the extra set. Second, visualize the future. See the reward you're building toward, and remind yourself it's worth more than the cheap fix. Third, celebrate patience. Take pride not in indulging, but in resisting. Think about the marshmallow test. Psychologists gave kids one marshmallow and told them they could eat it now, or wait 15 minutes and get two. The ones who waited, who delayed gratification, grew up more successful in every area: health, career, relationships. That's the law. The man who can wait wins. Now let's land the hammer. Weak men live for now and die with nothing. Strong men sacrifice now and live with everything. Instant gratification builds regret. Delayed gratification builds empires. The man who learns to wait, to endure, to sacrifice, he is the man who wins. So here's your challenge. For the next week, pick one area of your life: food, money, training, entertainment, and practice delaying gratification. Every time you crave something now, wait. Push it back. Choose patience. Because the man who can say no to today owns tomorrow. And tomorrow always belongs to the disciplined. Master the morning. How you start your day determines how you live your life. Weak men stumble into the morning like victims, checking their phone first thing, hitting snooze, dragging themselves into the day with no direction. Strong men own their mornings like warriors. They rise with purpose. They execute rituals that sharpen their mind and body, and they build momentum before the world is even awake. Master the morning, and you master the day. Master the day, and you master your life. The morning is sacred because it is the only part of the day the world hasn't corrupted yet. No distractions, no demands, no noise. Just you and your discipline. That's why the strongest men protect their mornings like a fortress. They don't waste them. They don't hand them over to laziness or chaos. They use them to take control. Here's the first truth. The morning sets the tone. If you start with weakness, sleeping in, scrolling endlessly, you program yourself to move through the rest of the day with weakness. But if you start with strength, training, reading, planning, you program yourself to dominate. Here's the second truth. The morning is momentum. Win the first hour and you build a chain of victories. Lose it and you spend the rest of the day chasing. That's why so many successful men wake up early. It's not magic. It's momentum. Here's the third truth. The morning is identity. Every ritual you repeat shapes who you are. Wake up at 5 a.m. daily to train, and soon you're no longer a man who tries to work out. You are an athlete. Wake up and write every day, and you are a writer. The morning turns intentions into identity. Some will argue, but I'm not a morning person. That's an excuse, and excuses are for the weak. You don't need to be a morning person. You need to be a disciplined person. Nobody is born loving early mornings. They train themselves to love it because they love what mornings give them. Time, clarity, momentum, dominance. So how do you master the morning? First, own your wake-up. No snooze button, no negotiations. When the alarm goes off, you get up. Second, anchor your ritual. Pick 3 non-negotiable actions. Train, read, plan, journal, stretch, and execute them every single morning. Third, protect the space. No phone, no social media, no chaos. The morning belongs to you, not to the world. Think about Jocko Willink, posting his 4:30 a.m. watch photos daily. It's not about the time, it's about the statement. I control the morning. The morning doesn't control me. Think about CEOs, athletes, creators. So many of them start early, not because they're superhuman, but because they refuse to waste the most powerful part of the day. Now let's land the hammer. Weak men sleep through their power. Strong men seize it before dawn. The morning is not just a time, it's a weapon. Use it and you will dominate. Waste it and you will stay ordinary. Master the morning and you will master yourself. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, wake up an hour earlier than usual. Use that hour for nothing but discipline, training, reading, planning, creating. Track what happens to your energy, your clarity, your results. Because once you taste the power of owning your mornings, you'll never hand them back to weakness again. Focus like a laser. The modern world is built to scatter your mind. Notifications, endless feeds, constant noise. Everything around you is designed to split your attention into fragments so you never build power. Weak men drown in distraction. Strong men cut through it with laser focus. Because the truth is simple. A distracted man is a defeated man. A focused man is unstoppable. Focus is the ultimate amplifier. 10 minutes of pure, undistracted work is worth more than 2 hours of half-distracted effort. That's why some men accomplish more in a year than others do in a lifetime. It's not because they're smarter. It's because they know how to aim their mind like a weapon and hold it steady. Here's the first truth. Focus multiplies effort. Energy without focus is wasted. It's like sunlight. Spread out, it warms. Focused through a lens, it burns. Your life works the same way. Spread your energy everywhere, and you stay average. Focus it on one mission, and you become unstoppable. Here's the second truth. Focus requires sacrifice. You cannot chase every opportunity, every distraction, every shiny object. You must choose what matters most and cut everything else. Weak men want everything, so they achieve nothing. Strong men cut ruthlessly, so they achieve everything. Here's the third truth. Focus is a discipline, not a gift. Nobody is born with laser focus. You build it by training your attention, by eliminating distraction, by sitting in the work, even when your mind screams to wander. Some will argue, but I can multitask. I can do it all. Wrong. Multitasking is just doing many things badly at once. Greatness is never multitasked. It is achieved through obsession, singular, relentless focus on one thing until it bends to your will. So how do you build focus like a laser? First, control your environment. Remove distractions. Put your phone away, shut the door, kill the noise. Second, control your time. Work in focused blocks where nothing exists but the task. Third, control your mind. When it drifts, drag it back, over and over until concentration becomes natural. Think about elite snipers. They don't fire with scattered attention. They lock onto one target, block out the world, and pull the trigger with absolute calm. That's focus. Or think about Steve Jobs. Obsessed with design, detail, and simplicity. He cut everything that wasn't essential, and that ruthless focus built one of the most powerful companies in history. Now let's land the hammer. Distraction is death. Focus is power. Weak men let the world pull their attention in every direction. Strong men point their focus like a laser, and the world bends to them. You cannot be great at everything. But if you focus relentlessly on one mission, you can be unstoppable. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, pick one priority each day, one mission, and give it at least 1 full hour of undistracted focus. No phone, no multitasking, just pure execution. Because the man who learns to focus like a laser doesn't just achieve more. He becomes more. Push beyond limits. Every man has limits, or at least he thinks he does. A certain distance he can run, a certain weight he can lift, a certain amount of work he can handle. And the moment he feels he's reached that limit, he stops. But here's the truth. Those limits aren't real. They're lies whispered by your mind to keep you comfortable. The real growth, the real strength, the real transformation begins when you push past that point. Discipline isn't about respecting your limits. Discipline is about shattering them. Your body can handle more than you imagine. Your mind can endure more than you believe. But you'll never know until you push further than you thought possible. The weak man quits at his limit and stays the same forever. The strong man pushes beyond it and becomes someone new. Here's the first truth. Limits are mental, not physical. Science has shown that most people quit when they've only used about 40% of their true capacity. That means when you think you're done, you've barely begun. The body isn't finished. The mind is scared. Here's the second truth. Breaking limits requires discomfort. You will never push further while staying comfortable. You must embrace exhaustion, failure, pain, and pressure. Those are the gates you pass through to discover your true potential. Here's the third truth. Every time you push past a limit, you redefine what's possible. Run farther today, and tomorrow's distance feels shorter. Lift heavier today, and tomorrow's weight feels lighter. Each broken limit becomes your new baseline, and your growth compounds forever. Some will argue, but what if I fail? What if I collapse? Good. That's where the learning lies. Failure is proof you pushed far enough to discover where the line really is. Weak men avoid that line. Strong men hunt it down and cross it. So how do you train yourself to push beyond limits? First, set challenges that scare you. If your goals don't make you uncomfortable, they're not big enough. Second, use the one more rule. When you're done, do one more rep, one more lap, one more minute. Third, embrace failure as data. Every time you collapse, you've mapped where the old limit was, and you're ready to push it further next time. Think about explorers who crossed oceans, climbers who scaled Everest, athletes who broke records. None of them stopped at what was considered possible. They looked at the line everyone else respected and stepped past it. That's why we remember them. Because they lived beyond the limits ordinary men obeyed. Now let's land the hammer. Limits are illusions. Boundaries are lies. Weak men stop where they feel safe. Strong men push where it hurts, where it breaks, where it feels impossible. Every time you push beyond your limits, you kill the old version of yourself and give birth to the stronger one. So here's your challenge. This week, pick one area of your life, training, work, learning, and push past your current limit. Do the extra rep, work the extra hour, read the extra chapter. When your mind screams, stop, keep going, because the man who lives within his limits stays ordinary. The man who breaks them becomes extraordinary. Self-respect through discipline. Respect is not given, it's earned. And before the world respects you, you must respect yourself. But here's the brutal truth. Self-respect doesn't come from words, affirmations, or empty confidence. It comes from discipline. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build respect. Every time you break one, you destroy it. The man who cannot control himself cannot respect himself, and the man who cannot respect himself will never be respected by others. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you'd start a habit? Wake up early, train daily, save money, study harder, only to quit days later. Every broken promise isn't harmless. It chips away at your self-respect. Soon, you no longer believe your own words. You don't trust yourself. And a man who doesn't trust himself is powerless. Here's the first truth. Discipline is self-respect in action. It proves to yourself that your word is law. If you say you'll do it, you do it. Not because you feel like it, not because it's easy, but because you refuse to betray yourself. Here's the second truth. Weakness is self-betrayal. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you tell yourself you're not worth the effort. You lower your own value, and deep down, you know it. That's why men who live without discipline are haunted by shame. They know they're lying to themselves. Here's the third truth. Respect is built in private before it shows in public. The man who gets up when no one is watching, who trains in the dark, who works silently on his craft, he looks in the mirror and sees someone he can trust. That private respect radiates outward, and the world feels it. Some will argue, but can't I just learn to love myself as I am? That's weakness disguised as wisdom. You don't respect yourself for who you are. You respect yourself for what you do. Self-love without discipline is delusion. Real self-respect comes from action, not comfort. So how do you build self-respect through discipline? First, start small, but keep it sacred. Choose one daily promise, a workout, a wake-up time, a writing habit, and never break it. Second, expand gradually. Layer more promises, keep them, and stack your respect higher. Third, stop lying to yourself. Don't make promises you don't intend to keep. Build a reputation with yourself like you would with a brother. Your word is unbreakable. Think about Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. He ruled one of the greatest empires in history, but his writings and meditations weren't about glory or power. They were about discipline, about keeping himself in check, about not betraying his own principles. He knew self-respect through discipline was the foundation of all leadership. Now let's land the hammer. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. Every time you act with discipline, you prove to yourself that you are a man of honor. Every time you break discipline, you betray yourself. Weak men cannot respect themselves because they cannot trust themselves. Strong men build self-respect through ruthless discipline, and that respect makes them unshakable. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, pick one promise to yourself. Write it down. Keep it every day without fail. Don't negotiate, don't excuse, don't break it. At the end of the week, look in the mirror. You won't just see a man who kept a habit. You'll see a man you can finally respect. Because respect doesn't come from outside applause. It comes from the discipline you demand of yourself. Become unstoppable. Every part of discipline has led to this moment. Killing excuses, choosing pain over comfort, treating routine like religion, doing it tired, controlling your mind, sacrificing weak pleasures, training until it hurts, refusing 0 days, living by discipline, not motivation, delaying gratification, mastering the morning, focusing like a laser, pushing beyond limits, building self-respect through unbreakable commitment. Put all of it together, and you create something terrifying. A man who cannot be stopped. An unstoppable man is not the strongest in the room, not the richest, not the most gifted. He is the man who refuses to quit. No matter the setback, no matter the obstacle, no matter the storm, he keeps moving forward. You cannot seduce him with comfort. You cannot break him with fatigue. You cannot distract him with weakness. His discipline shields him. His will drives him. His consistency compounds into power that no one can deny. Here's the first truth. Unstoppable men are built, not born. Nobody is born with discipline. Nobody comes into the world unbreakable. They forge it day by day, choice by choice, sacrifice by sacrifice. That means you can forge it too, if you are ruthless enough to demand it. Here's the second truth. Unstoppable men are hated. Weak men despise them because they are living proof that excuses are lies. Their presence exposes mediocrity. That's why they're often mocked, doubted, or criticized. But criticism is proof you've broken free from the herd. The unstoppable man doesn't flinch. He keeps moving. Here's the third truth. Unstoppable men are rare. Most people choose comfort. Most surrender to fatigue. Most trade their future for a cheap thrill today. That's why the few who refuse stand out. They become leaders, warriors, legends, not because they wanted to be, but because they refused to stop. Some will argue, but isn't it exhausting to always push? No. What's exhausting is living small. What's exhausting is betraying yourself daily. What's exhausting is being haunted by regret. The man who lives with discipline doesn't carry that weight. He carries pride. And pride fuels him more than any pleasure ever could. So how do you become unstoppable? First, accept that discipline is not seasonal. It is forever. No breaks, no holidays, no exceptions. Second, embrace hardship as fuel. Don't run from challenges. Run into them. Third, refuse finality. When others say, "It's over," you say, "It's not done until I win." Think about Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. When asked about those failures, he said, "I didn't fail. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work." That's the mindset of the unstoppable. Every failure is data. Every setback is fuel. Every obstacle is proof they're on the right path. Now let's land the hammer. The world cannot stop a man who refuses to stop himself. Weak men bow to excuses, to pain, to fatigue, to distraction. Strong men bow to nothing. They rise, they grind, they endure, and they conquer. To become unstoppable is not about talent, luck, or gifts. It is about one thing: discipline that never dies. So here's your final challenge. From this day forward, never again call yourself a victim. Never again bow to weakness. Never again betray your discipline. Stack every tool you've learned: pain, routine, sacrifice, focus, respect, and build the unbreakable man inside you. Because once you become unstoppable, the world no longer dictates who you are. You dictate it. And no force on earth can hold back a man who has mastered himself. You've just walked through the brutal path of discipline, the kind that kills excuses, rejects comfort, and builds an unstoppable man out of pain, sacrifice, and consistency. But listening alone won't change your life. Execution will. So here's what I want from you. Drop a comment right now and tell me which chapter hit you the hardest. Was it killing excuses? Was it training until it hurts? Was it mastering the morning? Let me know where you're drawing the line in your own life. If this message lit something inside you, then don't let it die here. Share this with someone who needs it, someone who's been making excuses, living soft, and waiting for the perfect time to change. Be the spark that forces them into discipline. And if you want more raw, no-nonsense content like this, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because tomorrow, we go even deeper. Remember this: comfort is death, pain is progress, and discipline is freedom. The world doesn't need more men who talk. It needs more men who execute. So the question is simple: will you be the man who listens and forgets, or the man who listens and becomes unstoppable?